With an impossibly thin proprietary coating, XS maximizes string life, repels corrosive elements, and projects a rich, lasting tone. XS, the coated string that safeguards your sound.
That was great. Hey, this is John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. I'm with Sarah Zimmerman, Justin Davis of Striking Matches. We're at the studio here in Nashville.
Yes.
Thanks for inviting us in, because I know you're busy making an album right now.
We are knee deep in making our next record, which is really, really fun. We've got a couple of great friends that are producing it with us, Soren Hansen from the band The New Politics, and Paulie DiVincenzo, who plays with Elle King, plays bass, Elle King, and a bunch of other people, and they're just so awesome, and we're just having a blast.
Right, so we're in East Nashville in this secret lair where all this is being done. So how deep into the project are you right now?
We're about 6 songs in, which is kind of crazy because it happened fast. That's what happens when you track live, which is kind of how we've been doing it. You go through songs really quickly. And
well, I mean, like that playing just shows. It's not like you're. I mean, that's done. That's like playing. It's cool.
Yeah, it was okay for just making something up on the spot. Which is like, that's what we like to do.
Well, it's been so fun to do the record that way because we're really just, it's the two of us. Paulie's playing bass, and we've had a couple folks come in and play drums, and just going down like that has just been so fun.
Well, like a lot of people who live in Nashville know, but for people who don't, in like a square mile of right here, there are more world-class musicians, of just like drummers and bass players and guitar players and singers, and so it's just, you're never short of just phoning somebody up and being like, hey man, come play, and that's the beautiful thing about this city.
You could order a pizza and say,
hey,
can you come do you play drums?
And everyone's just so good, and it just inspires you. It's so fun.
So your whole crazy odyssey, you all met at Belmont, right? You started there.
Yeah, just randomly. I mean, it was a weird sort of serendipitous moment where it was the first day of school, and we were just coming to town to be guitar players. We didn't know anybody.
Now, where did you both come from?
I came from Atlanta.
And I'm from outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and first day of school, they were making all the freshmen, which we were, get up 2 by 2 and play in front of the whole class, like freshman to senior, and all the faculty. You had to get up and just jam.
Yeah,
just
didn't
make
know
something
anybody,
up.
didn't know each other.
Well, jam together.
It was like a crazy first day hazing thing. And so we got up and we were just like,
well, they randomly chose you too?
Wow. And so I was like, well, do you want to play some blues or something? And that was kind of like what happened. We just kind of made something up. And
just
I was like, wow, that was fun. And it was like, we should do that again. And so we did.
God, that has like kind of a destiny feel to it, right?
It was weird. It was like the first time we met was the first time also we played together.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
like the first time we played out.
How great.
Yeah, man. It
Yeah,
was-
how lucky you are to like find the other part, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
yeah, that's kind of what we're all doing. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. First time I saw you guys was at NAMM years ago, and you were playing Take 5,
Yeah.
which I'm like, God, that is so hip for NAMM.
Yeah.
Because
Man.
usually it's like,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean everybody's and me too. Like you're usually just trying to play as fast as you can, and like just
Right, yeah,
because you want to bring it and try and impress somebody. But it was like the more NAMMs that we had gone to,
Yeah.
it was also just like that doesn't really impress.
Yeah, what could we do that was
anybody,
just
and-
different and very just us?
Yeah,
right,
when you finally get secure with yourself, which
Yeah.
not that we are or anything, but like a little better, like one step at a time. You chill out and just sort of have fun.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we were like, well, yeah, let's play Take 5 at NAMM.
Yeah, and I think you guys did for like 10 minutes.
I think so too, yeah.
Because
How long
people
can
just
we
kind of
make
walk
this?
by
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, oh, we
Yeah.
can play the
I
same song.
watched
Just-
it for a while, like, God, this is great. And I walked around, tried a few guitars, came
Came
back,
back, we're still
still
playing.
going.
Well, it was probably just the same solo, just
Yeah,
like wrapping up.
probably,
You know,
yeah.
by that time we were just kind of taking an extended ride.
Yeah, well, it was great.
Thanks,
and
man.
God, that thing you played in your intro was great.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk guitars a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen you both on acoustics. I've seen you both on electrics, and then this lineup.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sarah, let's start with you.
Yeah. I mean, so I used to actually be pretty much an exclusively Tele player.
Yeah.
Until we made our first record. We made our first record with T-Bone Burnett
Yeah.
several years
God,
ago.
that is
yeah,
a
it was really cool. It was very
Yeah,
cool.
man. I mean, that was like ready or not,
Yeah,
I guess.
bucket
That was
list,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
first record out of the
Yeah.
gate is going to be T-Bone. So yeah.
But I
learned so
play a
much.
lot of slide, like mostly slide. And it was T-Bone that said, you really should be playing an SG. Because of just, you get a little more running room with the neck
Yeah.
and just kind of the tone. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll try
And
it.
they look so cool.
They look so cool.
They look so
So I
cool.
went with a white one because, Sister Rosetta Starr played a white SG, as we all
Absolutely.
know. So this, I just got, off the rack, 2014, I think. But the interesting part about this guitar was that when I bought it, it came with one of those E-tune
Sure.
situations
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, because as a slide player, like I was like, this is going to be great because I can use all these alternate tunings.
Sure.
I can just press a button. But I
Well, the
didn't.
E-tune, if you
Yeah,
haven't
it's
seen an E-tune,
true.
it's like
It's like a robot, and
Robot.
it just, you press it, you can program your own tunings in
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And so you'd press a button, and it would change it up.
it
So,
would be like super cool.
in theory,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. right.
In practice, we were doing a show with Train at Red Rocks,
Yeah.
and we went to launch into one of the songs, and I pressed the buttons, went to change the thing. I think because there was so much reverberation happening, it didn't register, and I went to play, and the guitar was just so out of tune.
So
I was like,
out.
I have to get this removed.
It was like
It always
like a
took
Can't
big,
have this,
big
yeah.
like first chord on this. It was like
it was so sad.
you're like, oh god.
Yeah. So at the time, that the guitar said E-tune on the nameplate
Yeah.
here. So I was just like, well, I could just get one that says Gibson, or I could have my own made. And so I decided to have it made and say Striking
Way
Matches on
cooler.
it. So yeah. And now it's kind of taken its beating
Oh, it's
and
got
it's
some
turning
love.
yellow and
Look
had
at
some
that,
love, but
like this coloration
yeah,
here.
this is
That's-
just from my
Yeah.
shirts, I think, or something.
Noble
but-
battle scars.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's really the only change I've made to it is the nameplate and removing the E-tune. But I love this guitar. I mean, I have a couple of other SGs at home, and just this is the one.
Yeah.
Well, the Sister Rosetta shout-out's
Yeah,
too cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's number one, basically stock with the exception of the tuners.
Yeah.
Okay, and
does
we got
the
going
job.
over here on this
Yeah.
Takamine.
I mean, this has been my just like acoustic road warrior go-to for the longest time, but actually it records amazingly well too. It's Takamine P5NC because I looked on the inside of it.
yeah.
It's funny, like when you play these and they're your right arm essentially. Somebody asks you like, "What is it?" And you'd be like, "I don't know." But it does everything I want and need it to do. I mean, for one, like you don't always have a tuner with you. I mean, some of the other great guitars that we have, they're works of art. don't carry onboard electronics or tuners or anything like
Sure.
that, and that can just be a pain when you get up and you need a snark or you need a pedal to run in through or whatever. And these guys just come with these handy dandy onboard electronics, and you just flip it on. You can cut the signal as well, and you get basic EQ with high, mids, and lows.
And that's the cool tube, right?
Actually, it's not
We'll
hers.
get
She
there,
has
yeah.
one.
Mine
She has one.
cool tube,
Yeah, which is that's cool that you know about that.
I've got one. They're amazing.
They're amazing. And
That's the earlier.
I mean, they were just the stock electronics that came in. It I think was the one that preceded the cool tube, but it still does so well. And the way we play, we're just so like percussive that this thing, when you run it through the subs live, it sounds like a kick drum, and it's just always done. I mean, I have cracked it 3 times here just because of that. You know, when you get a little.
We've
too
also
into
had
it.
this one because of that's the way that you've played. You've been through a few acoustics and you know, kind of put your hand through them, and so this one actually has
bracing on the inside.
So
really?
that doesn't happen
they
anymore.
did that just for me. I felt really special, and also I think they were just like, stop breaking our guitars.
the guitar.
But
We're not doing this again.
They showed up with this one because I just really liked this model. It plays great, it feels great, and our friend David Vincent at Takamine, he was like, all right, we put some reinforcement and bracing under where you are hitting this thing, and I've still cracked the body, but it still holds up, and it does amazing. And so
it's not creaking like a wood floor.
and it just it's a
great.
total workhorse guitar. It's the kind that you're not afraid to fly with,
Right.
which matters so much when you're a touring musician and you've just got to make dates, however, and like you hope you can carry it on, but sometimes you can't. And this thing, you can just show up somewhere and plug it in, and it does the thing. And so, like your prize one that you don't want to take out of the house or whatever, those are all great. They're great recording guitars, but this one has just always gotten the job done.
Now, when you're recording, do you run the electronics and mic it?
Oh yeah, I'm actually glad you asked because it's on here still. We usually mic it, and then for a lot of things have been running through, and you can kind of dirty up that signal and almost combine the two, and then create a lot of stuff. And then here they have a contact mic with it, which is this little guy. And it's so cool. I love
almost your install.
Yes. I mean, it's that simple. Like the mic itself isn't very expensive.
Right.
I mean, that's the other thing. They need to be very.
But it gets so much of that like
boom, like this. Like it sounds, and so you can just. And like it sounds like a drum, but it's different. And so. Yeah, that's between all those signals, you get something that usually sounds
something you like.
Pretty.
Well, it's so cool too because when you two play it, it's like a 2-person power trio.
exactly.
Those were all our favorite bands. Usually growing up, were like power trios and just lots of guitar, lots of everything. So it's just always. I feel like the thing that's coming out of us naturally.
Yeah, totally.
So, what strings are you running on that?
These are just D'Addario.
The EJ16.
EJ16, yes, thanks. Of course they are. And
Does Sarah does she just know all your stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm completely lost. That's why we're a duo.
Right, yeah.
But D'Addario, EJ12s.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
And what do you run?
Well, these are also D'Addario. The EXL 110, I think,
Okay.
and they're 10s.
It's amazing with numbers.
Yeah.
And letters.
Steel trap. And just like not because a lot of times people that play slide will kind of vary their string choice and whatever, but that's just what I use like across the board and I think same for you, like the acoustic strings are all the same, the electric strings are all the same.
Yep.
Easier that way.
Yeah.
What tune are you in right now?
Just actually a half step down, standard.
Okay, standard.
And I go between, I would say like 95% of the time I'm in standard.
Yeah.
But we have a couple songs that we play live that I use sort of like it's like an open E flat kind of. So when I started, I was all open tunings, and then I kind of realized that I wanted to be able to play slide and then move very quickly to getting rid of the slide. So I just taught myself mostly how to play in standard instead.
What would inevitably happen is that we'd be out at a gig or at a show or something or hanging out, and somebody would hand her a guitar and be like, "Yo, jump in." And so you had to get so good on just standard slide just so that it was like we could hang. And,
Right,
and so now you play as much in standard as anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, and you sound great. What slide are you using?
So these are the Moonshine slides, which are so awesome. I believe Dunlop distributes them, but there's a woman named Terry who makes these.
Actually, we talked to her on Instagram every now and then.
They are
so nice.
So I got hip to these because we actually met Jim Dunlop's daughter, and she saw that I was playing slide, but I was playing a glass slide at the time. Yeah. And I have broken so many glass slides. Like somebody just like knocks it off a table, and you're like, okay, well that's gone. And so she was like, you should try these. They're really warm, they're really nice. And she was very right. And the other awesome thing about them is if you drop them, they don't shatter into a million pieces. Yeah. And I know that because that same Red Rocks show with the E-Tune thing, we have a song that I have a big solo at the end, and the stage floor is like cement at Red Rock. You see where this is going? Yeah. And so my slide was like on the mic stand, and I went to go do my solo and grab it, and just like in slow motion, it was like falling out of my hand. Hit the ground, split perfectly in half, but just enough of like a lip on the side. And all of this is happening in like 10 seconds. Yeah. But I looked down, I was like, oh God, no. What am I? This is our last song of our show at Red Rocks. And I looked down, I was like, oh, there's enough here. I can do this. So I picked it up and I did the solo on like half of a slide. And so now like I'll never go back. Like these are just, they are nearly indestructible, and they sound so great. I just love the warmth. I like brass as well, but brass is a little more brittle to me, and that's not really the sound I'm trying to go for, so I just like how they're nice and kind of rounder. And
do you carry a backup now?
Oh, yeah. I always have one in my purse. Like, I'm lucky being a girl, I always have a purse, and so I can always keep like extra slides, extra capos. Like, I don't know what you guys do,
and
but
usually a bunch
I
of
put
my
them in my
stuff
purse.
That's great. Well, okay, so this is an excellent start. Let's look at some more guitars.
Yeah.
What else you got? Okay, so now we've got we've changed up a little bit. Let's hear all about it.
Yeah.
Sarah, let's start with you.
Yeah, so this is my acoustic that I've had for, gosh, I don't know, probably the last 10 years. You've been through a few. Well, you've been through a few. I've had this one since the beginning. This is the TAN45C Takamine. It does have the cool tube. And I love the cool tube. It does take a second to warm up.
That's always scary. That's always
Everyone
scary,
always,
right?
and the sound guys are always like, why is it warm? Give it a second. Just give it a second. But I love it. I mean, this is very much like yours, where it just is a workhorse, and I can just give it, everything that I have, and it'll just keep on going.
Yeah. Because sometimes those other acoustics that we have, like especially the very, very expensive ones, you don't want to.
Yeah.
Or I found about that too. It's like I've got my expensive gear that I don't play as often, and I'll take it to the studio, and it feels so awkward to me.
It's so
like,
weird.
give me my cheap stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing about making this record, is we really want it to feel as much of like going from our live show to the record and having them be very much the same thing. And so we're trying to use mostly stuff that we use on stage, especially instrument-wise. Like everything that we've been playing on the record is something we do on stage. So, that's sort of a thing we're trying to achieve. And this guitar is, I mean, it's got its little wear and tear scratches. It's changed color a little bit, I think. This time if you look at it. But I just love it. It's just my other arm, I think.
Yeah. Well, play that thing a little bit.
Sorry, you're too down.
Fabulous. Love it. Okay. Hey, and you palm your pick when you're playing for the most part.
I do.
Yeah. What picks do you use?
So for acoustic,
or what picks do you hold?
Yeah, right. I know. Actually, a lot of times it's funny that when I play slide, unless I'm playing a lot of chords, I really do just put it in my finger.
Yeah.
And I don't really use it, but I would rather play a whole song with the pick right here than my hand completely empty.
Right.
I think it's like a mental thing. Yeah.
Sure.
So for acoustic, I use the Dunlop Tortex.
The purple one.
The purple one. The number always wears off. And then for electric, I use the Dunlop, the little Jazz 3s.
Okay.
But for the most part, they just hang out in my finger. Unless, because I don't only play slide, and so if we're just kind of doing, whatever, then I'll be rocking normally, but.
I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah.
That you do that.
I started doing it a while ago. I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't know if it's because I've seen other people do it that way, or it just made more sense. You just get a different tone when you're using your fingers than you do when you're using a pick.
And the whole muting thing is right there.
Yeah, and then that way you know you can get like those kinds of flavors and stuff if you do that, but you just have it there just in case.
Cool. And strings on that?
Same as his from before the EJ16.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Justin, let's hear about this Strat. I've seen you.
All right, yeah, this one.
Seen that around for a while.
Yeah, this is my very first like real like big boy electric guitar that I ever got.
How old were you when you got it?
I think I was 8.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Maybe I'm
Good
lying.
parents.
Maybe I that's totally wrong. I got my first guitar when I was 8. It was like a harmony, and
guitars are.
yeah. My brother-in-law, who I credit a lot to my interest in playing guitar, because I thought he was so cool. Still do. He's still cool, but he played guitar, and so I wanted to be anything he was doing. So he got me. You know, he had axes because he was a very much like an 80s hair metal guy, and he called my first electric guitar the Hatchet. And because it was like a little cute little harmony electric guitar. This one I would have gotten when I was probably actually closer to about 15 or something like that, because I had to learn to play before I would
Those
be
are kind
graced.
of the rules.
Yeah. And so it's American Strat, and my brother-in-law, the 80s shredder, put a DiMarzio hot rails in there.
Excellent choice.
Which I still use today, and I think are so cool.
They're great.
Yeah, man.
Great.
And I mean, this, as you might be able to hear, just there's that lovely single coil hum, and you just shut them off. You just shut them right off. And
60 cycles gone.
Yep. You know, obviously that one's if you really want to go. I always like, it may have just been how this one developed over time, but I've always felt like it's a bit bright, so I'll usually roll off some of the tone just to round it out a little bit. But other than that, like, it's just such a good Strat. Like, I feel like
so Strat.
all Strats are not necessarily created equal, and I feel like when you just get a good one, because I have other Strats, and this is still my favorite, and they just have that sound, and it's always so. And
right, that is the quintessential Stratty tone.
So, and it's just always been my favorite one to play.
Isn't
And that's
funny
like
how
just
it makes you play differently when you hear that tone?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, and I mean, this one's traveled all over with us. You know, been overseas a lot of times with it, and all over the country, and so that it just becomes a part of you, and all the stories that it gets. And there's nothing inherently remarkable other than it just being a great Strat and having that quintessential sound that makes you play that way. It's pretty much standard with the DiMarzio, but it's just all the stories and all the experiences that you have with it that make it so special to you.
What strings are you running those?
It's actually, they're going to be the same electric strings that Sarah knows.
God, isn't that convenient?
Just wanted to see if you could.
It's the EJXD 50 strings by Rolex. Actually.
Hey, and when you play with a pick, what pick do you use?
All right. So.
Because you really burn with a pick, but you spend most of your time on your fingers.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I always would lose my picks, and so I just stopped playing with picks. And then I saw guitar players like Chet Atkins and Mark Knopfler and Lindsey Buckingham and just all that Jerry Reed, and all these guys like were fingerstyle players, and I was like, oh man, you can do that. That's cool. And then so I just only played with my fingers.
And even when you're not, you're probably about to say
it just, when we started playing out, we would get too into it and too intense, and like, so I would tear all my nails off and stuff, and so I realized if we were going to be touring and playing night after night, I couldn't wait for my nails to grow back, and so I started putting on like a fake one on just my index nail, because I can use it as just how I want to pick.
Right.
but I can also kind of hold it almost like I have a pick.
That's what I was gonna say. When you play, it's like you're holding one, but you're not.
That's
And
wild.
so,
Do the fake nails ever come off?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it
they'll
really,
just go flying into the
yeah,
crowd. It's like, oh, there's
it really
that.
hurts too
Yeah.
sometimes because,
They get caught
and this
under-
is like why I don't know that I recommend it to anybody. It works for me well enough, but yeah, when you're really getting into it, like towards the end of the show, and you're just kind of really not paying attention too much about technique, sometimes the back of the nail will get caught
Oh,
in
yeah.
the string,
That
and it's
hurts
just like,
hearing it.
yeah, and that sucks. That just sucks. And so it doesn't happen often enough that I have to not do it, but just every now and then.
Yeah. Someday maybe someone will catch one.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Sell
Like
on
if
eBay.
they, it's like, and people are like, throw us a pick, and I'm like,
Right,
I
I
can't.
can't.
Hope I don't. You know, Ray Flack, Nashville
Yeah.
guitar player, he would put crazy glue on
Yeah,
his,
yeah.
on
Oh,
his
wow.
fingers
Yeah.
to like hold his
Yeah.
fingernails together.
Yeah, it's a weird balance of needing it to be really sticky and adhesive, but also when they wear down, you kind of need to replace them. So you don't need it to be too attached to it.
Right,
So
yeah, yeah.
That's a real
You can only go
commitment.
like
Yeah,
two
yeah,
shows
yeah, yeah.
before you need to replace
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I do. So
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's hear some more
yeah,
guitars.
yeah.
Okay, so new lineup. Let's hear these two and then talk about it. That was great. That was great. Okay, Sarah, let's start with you on this cool Takamine.
So yeah, this is a Takamine mandolin. I don't honestly know a lot about them. I don't know if like they're out in the world or not.
Yeah, I've not
but
seen that
Takamine
model.
gave this to me, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's become my new, because I've played mandolin for probably since like early college, I guess, or late high school maybe. And I have a couple of different mandolins, but this is like, it's very special. I think its tone is really, really nice, and it just is a beautiful instrument. And I love Takamine's electronics to me are great, as we were talking before. And so this thing sounds so great plugged in. Like even I run it through an amp because I think that is just,
Sure.
it gives it a little grit, and it's really, really cool. And I love it.
Yeah, it's cool with that grit on it. It really works, particularly in this context,
Yeah.
because it's just, I don't know. I love that unorthodox approach.
Yeah,
Very
well, and I
cool.
think that was another T-Bone thing when we were making our first record. We had 2 songs on there that I played mandolin on. He was like, "Let's run it through an amp." I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been doing on this record too.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, love it. Let's hear about this 335.
Yeah, it's I've always loved these guitars. I just had always looked up to so many blues players. B.B. King was my first concert, and just anytime I saw a big hollow-bodied Gibson guitar, I
Sure.
just wanted one, and
Yeah.
really never could have one until maybe 5 or 6 years back, and then ever since then it was just I couldn't stop playing it. And I just think it's such the compliment to having a single coiled instrument like a Strat. You just got to have this to like balance it out, and it's been my favorite thing to walk out during sound check or whatever and just play a giant just like E chord. It's just they sound so big and so warm that they just inspire you. You feel incredible with them, and they like people know them. I just feel like it's you got to have one of these. Like you got to have this or an SG or something like that, because they just do what they do so well.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like when people say if it's Gibson or Fender or whatever, it's like you kind of, if you can help it, try to get both, because they're like tools. Like
You
it's
need
like
everything.
sort of kind of being like, do you want a hammer or a screwdriver? It's like kinda,
right.
kind of want both, because they do what they do really, really well.
Right.
So yeah, this has just been, I think it's so fun to play. I think they're really cool looking guitars. But
So is that one of the Memphis built ones?
I don't know actually. This one was really, I was really lucky to be gifted this one, and I just didn't ask any questions. I was just like, thank you.
Just took you before they changed your mind.
Yeah, and then I loved it. So it was when, because Gibson's moved around in Nashville now. It was when they were still over in their older building on Charlotte or Church or whatever it is in Nashville. Now they've got a crazy cool setup. And have you seen that place yet?
Yeah.
The new showroom? It's awesome.
So cool.
Which I think is great for them, because we've been in Nashville long enough when they had the showroom at the Opry Mills Mall.
Right.
Man, that was so cool. Now it's like an H&M, but
It's amazing.
but
so
it was crazy. You go to the Nashville Mall and walk into a giant Gibson showroom. It was so cool.
So all stock.
Yeah.
And apparently you've never cleaned it.
I've never cleaned it. Yeah, no. I'm just gonna kind of see where it goes. Yeah, I mean, this is gross.
That is gross.
Yeah, that's
I should have
definitely
cleaned that off before this.
that's definitely from the last show. That's sweat. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very,
Sorry.
very rock and roll cred.
It's probably mine. I don't even know.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds fabulous. So let's talk about your pedals. I love. There's no pedal board. There's just like some crap on the floor.
Yeah.
Well,
that's like quintessential like making a record setup.
Yes,
it's just like get that one,
yeah.
get this one.
Yeah.
Right.
We're both pretty like less is more. I use a tuner.
Let's talk about your signal flow. So you go and it's always cables, not.
All cables. Yeah.
So a cable into the Boss tried and true TD3 tuner. Okay.
And then I have an OCD full tone for my drive, and then
this happy little fellow right there.
Happy little guy.
Okay. There we go.
And then I use a micro pog on a few things. For this stuff we've got going on lately, the octave. For what we've been doing lately, I've been using it on the mandolin, but I'll use it on my electric for doing some slide stuff, especially when you have the open tunings.
Yeah.
You can use multiple strings, and then you're getting all those octaves from those same octaves, so
Yeah.
it's like 4 octaves. It's pretty fun.
Like, do you go up and below?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, cool.
And then I have an MXR reverb,
Cool.
and then a volume pedal that I don't use all the time live, because live our current kind of duo setup is Justin's playing a kick drum and I'm playing a kick tambourine, and then we're playing electric guitars, and because he's so percussive already and so like this guitar especially is so full, we don't need a bass player really, but I can't really use my volume pedal and kick the tambourine at the same time.
And just watching you you're adjusting your volume all the time with your hands.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I always respect people who are very geeky and get into pedals. I think it's people who are very good at it. It's impressive, and
it's like a dance.
Yeah, sometimes they can be a crutch, but that's like with anything. With us, I think because I grew up playing in my bedroom, and it was always just whatever, just give me sound. Usually it's just like just plug straight in and turn the amp up really loud. And that still kind of works a lot. So I usually run through a Fender Hot Rod, and I love the sound when you turn it up loud, and then I use
you mean like a hot rod amp?
Yeah, hot rod amp.
What is your main one? Like they have the DeVille or the
DeVille.
the 112.
Yep. And it's great.
Yeah, that's a great amp.
It's really easy to make it break up because it's not too big, but it's also you can play it in any size place, and it's also a lesson that we learned quickly is like if we were touring and you needed to do backline, you really needed to not be very fussy about your amps.
Right.
Because if you were in a random town that had a rental company, you're probably going to have a lot of the basics.
Yeah.
Maybe not really specific stuff.
Sure.
So it was like if you wanted to make sure that you could get the thing that you were used to playing, then get happy with something that's pretty ubiquitous and
Sure.
and so that was the thing. Like I got really happy with something like a hot rod, or we can just make something like that work. And
So on the road, it's the hot rod for you. But what are you all running through right now?
So back here, we have a Blues Junior, which I play on the road.
Love the Blues Junior.
Mine is, I did mod the speaker, so I have a bigger speaker in there, but that's the only
Like
difference.
a 12?
Yeah. And it's a little angry, and it's a little heavy. When I picked it up after it got, I was like, oh, now it's heavy. I play this because I liked it light, but that's okay. So we're using a Blues Junior and a Vibrolux. And I think I'm playing more through the Blues Junior, but it kind of just depends on what we're going for the song. But it's really back and forth between those two. And then we have there's one of those tiny little orange amps that we're sometimes running me through as well to just get another like funky kind of like gritty, angry signal. It's pretty fun.
They sound great.
Cool.
Throw a little bit of reverb on those things.
Yeah,
They're
so
so
great.
cool, and they look amazing.
Isn't that great? I love the whole, like, there's no, like, cork sniffing here. It's just, like, down and dirty. You know, go to any music store, find it. Do you remember what kind of speaker you put in your, like, what?
It's been, like, I feel like I
Is it
probably
a Gator
put...
speaker? Is
maybe.
that a thing?
I put it, it's been, like, 8 years. since I
Something
put
heavy.
it.
Soren was telling me
Heavy.
something about one of the amps.
Oh, yeah.
Soren, what did you
what were you
say
gonna say?
about the amp? Oh yeah, we're running through the aux.
That's right, I totally forgot
which
about that.
some of you guys might know about.
right over there.
About the aux.
UA.
Sarah was running through the aux. I think I was running through the Vibrolux, the Fender Vibrolux, and those things are so cool. When you're
pretty
just
cool.
trying to find a sound, trying to find the guitar,
Right.
some of those sounds are getting so good that
Very practical way to audition a lot of tones
Yeah.
quickly.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean it's not the old school way, but when you've done the old school way and you're getting so close that you almost just can't tell,
Yeah.
it's just crazy how it's
Yeah.
like. And as a guitar player who kind of doesn't, you just want to play, like, just give me the good sound. I just want to put this part down because I have a cool riff. Like I don't want to sit here for 20 minutes and try and find the tone.
Right.
Then it's so good.
Yeah.
'Cause-
And Polly and Soren are so good at sort of like knowing and helping us get to where we want to be and what we're after. And if they're trying the aux, it's like, if that doesn't work, they know how to get it out of the amp and vice versa.
Yep.
And so that's been like fascinating to watch them just kind of like do that and get what we're looking for. Sometimes out of that thing and sometimes out of the real thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Then the basics with me, like I have a tuner, I have a Boss delay pedal, and then I had a little tube screamer that was a Keeley mod.
Is this-
That guy, yeah,
this
that
one?
guy, yeah, and
that Keeley. the tweak too. Yeah,
And
that's great.
I don't even use it all that much. Sometimes I'll use it if I want like a little boost, but usually
Right.
I'm letting the amp do a lot of the work,
Yeah.
or I'll like roll my volume off to if I don't want quite as much boost, and then I'll roll it back up, and so it's just because I think I just don't care as much. Like I just want to play and like I
Right.
get happy with the
Yeah.
tone, and then I'll kind of
Yeah.
let my hands do the rest.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I see people who get really good at it, and they do have that kind of like the edge thing, or like they just understand it so well that I respect it, and I had a tremolo pedal and I had everything, and I realized how much I wasn't using them, so I almost, in order to just downsize and consolidate and then build it outward, probably from what we do with this record, because we have a lot of really cool, this is like a holier grail reverb pedal,
I've been using
and this one is a
everything.
Butch Walker pedal, I think.
Ruby Red.
Oh,
Which
okay.
you guys, I saw you guys talk to Butch Walker at some point.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
And so he has a pedal, and Soren, whose studio this is, he let him borrow it, and it's a great
It's
boost
great, yeah.
pedal. Like it does a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we'll probably build out the new pedal board from what we do on this record.
Well, that's the cool thing about being your own artist too. You
Yeah.
don't, like, if you're a side person, you have to
Yeah.
tailor your tone to
Right.
whatever
Totally.
the singer wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, whoever is with us has to tailor theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's like we have one requirement. It's like it's just got to be loud.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Right. Yeah. In time, in tune.
Yeah.
that helps. That's
If
good
at
too.
all possible, man. Just into is preferable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fabulous. Well, it is so great meeting you both, and
Yeah.
congratulations. Love your work.
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
If you have
us.
any final final plugs? Any tour things coming up?
Yeah, I
We'll be
mean,
on tour in the fall.
Yeah.
Doing a bunch of dates all
All
around
over.
the
All
Good.
over
US.
the
I
States.
bet after
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
COVID
the
year
year.
off.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah, we're so ready.
Ready.
We can't wait. We've got a lot of pent up notes that we want to play.
yeah.
And then our record that we're making now is going to be ready by later this year, so be looking out for that. We're really excited.
Yeah.
It always feels that way, but it feels like the best stuff we've ever done, and it's very much a very live record. Just some of the drummers and bass players with it, it feels so good. So we can't wait.
Special.
That's great. Well, I love hearing you. I love hearing you both play. And love just seeing it happen right in front. It's like magic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, y'all, till next time, subscribe below. Cheers.